Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. Heinzerling, and I teach first grade at Parkway Elementary. And today on GetEpic.com, I picked a book, Baseball Saved Us, by Ken Mochizuki and illustrated by Dom Lee. Now, being a first grade teacher, we usually read a lot of silly, funny stories, but I thought for the recordings I was going to do today that I'd try to read a book for a little bit older crowd. So this will be a little bit more geared towards our 5th and 6th grade students. But hey, everybody can listen. So hope you enjoyed the story Baseball Saved Us. One day my dad looked out at the endless desert and decided then and there to build a baseball field. He said people needed something to do in camp. We weren't in a camp that was fun, like summer camp. Ours was in the middle of nowhere, and we were behind barbed wire fence. Soldiers with guns made sure we stayed there, and the man in the tower saw everything we did, no matter where we were. As Dad began walking over the dry, cracked dirt, I asked him again, why were we here? Because, he said, America is at war with Japan, and the government thinks that Japanese Americans can't be trusted. But it's wrong that we're here. We're Americans too. Then he made a mark in the dirt and mumbled something about where the infield bases should be. Back in school, before camp, I was shorter and smaller than the rest of the kids. I was always the last to be picked if any teams were playing games. Then a few months ago, it got even worse. The kids started to call me names, and nobody talked to me even though I didn't do anything bad. At the same time, the radio kept talking about some place far away called Pearl Harbor. One day, Mom and Dad came to get me out of school. Mom cried a lot because we had to move our whole family out of our house real fast, throwing away a lot of our stuff. A bus took us to a place where we had to live in horse stalls. We stayed there for a while until we came here. This camp wasn't anything like home. It was so hot in the daytime and so cold at night. Dust storms came and got sand in everything, and nobody could see a thing. We sometimes got caught outside standing in line to eat or go to the bathroom. We had to use the bathroom with everybody else instead of one at a time like at home. We had to eat with everybody else too. But my big brother Teddy, he ate with his own friends. We lived with a lot of people in what were called barracks. The place was small and had no walls. Babies cried at night and kept us up. Back home, the older people were always busy working, but now all they did was stand or sit around. Once Dad asked Teddy to go get him a cup of water. Get it yourself, Teddy said. What? What did you say? Dad snapped back. The older men stood up and pointed at Teddy. How dare you talk to your father like that? One of them shouted. Teddy got up, kicked the crate he was sitting on, and he walked away. I had never heard Teddy talk to Dad like that before. That's when Dad knew we needed baseball. We got shovels and started digging up the sagebrush in a big empty space near our barracks. The man in the tower watched us the whole time. Pretty soon other grown-ups and their kids started to help. We didn't have anything we needed for baseball, but the grown-ups were pretty smart. They funneled water from the irrigation ditches to flood what would become our baseball field. The water packed down the dust and made it hard. There weren't any trees, but they found wood to build the bleachers. Bats, balls, and gloves arrived in cloth sacks from friends back home. My mom and other moms took the covers off the mattresses and used them to make uniforms. They looked almost like the real thing. I tried to play, but I wasn't that good. Dad said I just had to try harder, but I did know that playing baseball here was a little easier than back home. Most of the time, the kids were the same size as me. All the time I practiced, the man in the tower watched. He probably saw the other kids giving me a bad time and thought that I was no good, so I tried to be better because he was looking. Soon, there were baseball games all the time. Grown-ups played, and us kids did too. I played second base because my team said that was the easiest. Whenever I was at bat, the infield of the other team started joking around and moved in real close. The catcher behind me and the crowd for the other team would always say, "Easy out, easy out." I usually grounded out, but sometimes I got a single. Then came one of our last games of the year to decide on the championship. It was the bottom of the ninth inning, and the other team was winning 3-2. One of our guys was on second, and there were two outs. Two pitches, and I swung both times, and I missed. I could tell that our guy on second was begging me to at least get a base hit so somebody better could come up to bat. The crowd was getting loud. "You can do it!" Some people would yell. "Strike out!" Others would yell. "No hitter! No hitter!" I glanced up at the guardhouse behind the left field foul line, and I saw the man in the tower, leaning on the rail with the blinding sun glinting off his sunglasses. He was always watching, always staring. It suddenly made me mad, real mad. I gripped the bat harder than I ever had, and I took a couple of practice swings. I was going to hit the ball past the guardhouse, even if it killed me. Everyone got quiet, and the pitcher threw. I stepped into my swing, and I pulled the bat around real hard. I'd never heard a crack like that before. The ball went even farther than I expected. Against the hot desert sun, I could see the ball high in the air. As I ran to first base, the ball went over the head of the left fielder. I dashed around the bases, knowing for sure I would probably be tagged out, but I didn't even care. I was just running as fast as I could to home plate. I didn't even realize that I had crossed it. Before I knew it, I was up in the air on the shoulders of my teammates. I looked up at the tower, and the man had a grin on his face. He gave me a thumbs up sign. But it wasn't as if everything was fixed. Things were bad again when we got home from camp after the war was over. Nobody talked to us on the street, and nobody talked to me at our school. Most of my friends from camp didn't come back here. I had to eat lunch by myself. Then baseball season came. I was the smallest guy once again, but playing baseball in camp had made me better. The other guys saw that. I was a pretty good player now. They started calling me Shorty, but they smiled when they said it. By the time the first game came around, I felt almost like part of the team. Everyone was laughing and horsing around on the bus, but as soon as we got out there, it hit me. Nobody on my team or the other team, or even anybody in the crowd looked like me. When we walked out onto the field, my hands were shaking. It felt like all these eyes were staring at me, wanting me to make a mistake. I dropped the ball that was thrown to me, and I heard people in the crowd yelling, saying words like "Jap." I hadn't heard that word since before I went to camp. It meant that they hated me. My team came up to bat, and I was up next. I looked down. I thought maybe I should pretend to be sick so I wouldn't have to finish the game. But I knew that wouldn't make things better. It would make things even worse because I would get picked on at school for being a chicken. So they would use the bad word again, too. Then it was my turn at bat. The crowd was screaming, "The Jap's no good! Easy out!" I heard laughing. I swung twice and missed. The crowd roared each time I missed, drowning out my teammates. My teammates who were actually saying, "Come on, Shorty, you can do it, you can do it." I stepped back to catch my breath. When I stepped back up to the plate, I looked at the pitcher. The sun was glinting off his glasses as he stood on the mound, just like the guard in the tower. We stared at each other. Then I blocked out the noise all around me and I got set. The pitcher wound up and he threw. I swung and I felt that solid whack again. And I could see that little ball in the air against the blue sky and the puffy white clouds, and it looked like it was going over the fence. And it did. They won the game. I hope you like this story. Again, I found this story on getepic.com. There's a lot of great stories there if you want to go check them out. Yeah, well, hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye.